out. I'm super excited to be to the weekend. This week has been really fun in writing. And just for a recap, on the 3-act structure, 9 block, 27 chapter example, we covered Act 1 at the last block of Act 1. And so we went chapter 7, we went through the pressure. 8, we added a plot twist. 9, we're pushing the character into the second act, which is writing the character in the new world, which I'm super excited for because for me, the story is really getting going right now. So I'm really enjoying it. And to go over the things we need to make sure that we have in our first act is a major reversal, plot realization, establish the character, establish the situation, and the character is excited or upset about something, and it caused the character to take action. And it's been quite a week, so I'm excited. Today is Friday. If anybody wants to join, the link is in the chat. You're more than welcome. If not, maybe next week on Friday. I am going to personally work on listening to the first 9 chapters that I wrote this over the last few weeks. And I'm going to take the sprints to listen to it on speech through the first act and take a few little notes and put it for each chapter of some ideas when I'm listening to it that I can come back to when I'm doing some revisions. So that's what I'm going to be doing this morning is a nice recap on this week's chapters 7, 8, and 9. So whenever you're ready, I'm going to get the first timer up and we will get moving. Hope you have a productive Friday. I have wet hair, don't care. Gonna get some stuff done and be productive this morning and then enjoy the rest of the weekend. I hope you do also. So in a few moments, I have this up. I have the timer up on 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, sprint.
been known to be. The princess's
It's just taken me a moment to get things together. So during that sprint, I actually have been listening to what I've written over the last few weeks to get the first 9 chapters in. And what I'm doing is I'm making little notes in the story of some things that I want to add, or maybe that I thought I put in there that I was thinking that I hadn't actually put in there. So I'm going back through the first 9 chapters, the first act. That way, over the weekend, maybe I can add and take away a little bit. And then next week, when I start Act Two and we start Act Two, we do Reaction Rebel. Um, that was this week. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. So next week, when we will be starting on Tuesday, writing The New World, which is chapter 10. And I'm super excited to be moving along and getting to Act Two. And so on the board, yesterday during Heather Dewey Pettit's sprint, I set up the chapters that I had already written. And so now I'm just making little sticky notes. The pink are going to be for additions to the story. The blue up there, I'm just keeping track of the characters as I go that I've already introduced in the story and making sure I'm making sure everybody's relevant and needed and where they're supposed to be. And I actually have been working on this story for a while. So I did quite a bit of character development. I just hadn't fully written the story. I kept picking up and putting it down, picking it up and putting it down. So you may want to take some time to really develop your characters if you haven't. I personally have already started on some stuff. This is just some doodles. And, I did a lot of character development in this journal and story development here. I still have to fill in some things that I did not finish. And I'm going to do that as I roll along. So I hope you're being productive. It's Friday. I think I'm going to have a late night movie night tonight. So I'm excited about that, just to chill out and hang out. And this morning, I'm ready to get through the story. This is actually a lot of fun to listen to it on speech and see what you've worked so hard on already. And I really enjoy having the story read to me. So if you haven't tried that, can always be something fun to do. I'm going to continue on the next sprint, listening to the story, trying to think of things to add. And maybe I did notice a few things that I had thought I had written in the story and they weren't there. So I'm going to go back and add those in. Sometimes you get in a little flow and you think you've put things and you haven't. So it's always good to revamp that. Some people like to wait till they're completely finished. I've tried that. I'm going to try it act by act of going through it, primarily just to make sure I get through the 27 acts and then I don't have a massive amount of work, little things to take care of at the end of that. So I hope you're having a great Friday. I personally think next sprint I need to go make a pot of coffee. Um, the coffee is not prompt today because it wasn't raining and I had decided to go for a nice walk this morning. So it took some of my time. That is why I have the wet hair, no coffee, no brunch yet. But I'm going to get that in the next sprint and then continue on to make notes about the first 9 chapters that we've worked on over the last couple weeks. And I am going to pick a prompt card. We are in between the first and second sprint. So let's see what it is. Completely unwarranted confidence. This should be good. This should be good. I think that's going to work well for me. It's all good. But if we have the skills and we get the knowledge, it is great to feel confident in what we're doing. And that is why we always continue to keep learning. So here we go. I'm going to get the second timer up. I was trying to get that settled really quick in between the break there.
Grammarly helps you work more efficiently.
I think we are going to use the coffee timer because I am thinking about coffee. So I'm going to get that up there. Here we go. And, oh, it started without me. It's that kind of day. It's that kind of life. Ever feel like you're stuck in a shanty song? I do. All right, on 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, sprint. Looks like the timer was going to start with or without me today, but I plan on being productive. So make sure you get your beverages and you're working on the things you love and enjoy. Be right back. Hello, everybody. How did you do? I did pretty well, so I'm still working my way through the story, making some notes, coming up with some things. Realize one of my characters is a little cheeky, which I'm really enjoying that character. Um, so having a pretty good day. Ended up getting some French vanilla, so that's what I'm gonna have. A little snack, little brunch time snack. Just some chips, and I grabbed a little Nutella to go, just so I can kind of hang out and keep moving along. We have one more sprint for today, and I think I'm getting a lot done in these 3 sprints today, so I'm really enjoying it, feeling productive on a Friday, and I'm ready to get going into the last sprint of the day. It's almost 12 o'clock, moving right along. Didn't have any guests today, but that's okay. Maybe another time. And on 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, sprint. This is a timer by Laura Nettles. Oh, I didn't. Well, better late than never, right? Alrighty. Make sure you take time to get up, stretch if you need to. We have been sitting for quite some time. It's good to move around a little bit and still be productive. It's Friday. I'm just going to stretch for a few moments and I'll be right back.
Hey, Bonnie, how are you?
Hey, TX, I'm glad you stopped in to hang out. I was just, that was actually the last sprint of the morning, but I'm glad you showed up.
Well, here's the thing. See, I had completely forgot that you were doing this morning because I started writing on a new project last night as a result of me reading the book I'm currently reading by Sonny Randall, Payback.
Sure.
And what happened was it inspired me to write a new Joseph Hampton mystery called Black Shield.
Oh, how exciting.
And what's another funny part about this is that even though there's like a conspiracy within the Dallas PD with this, we meet a brand new character, a transfer from Las Vegas PD, an internal affairs lieutenant named Samantha Bunny Castor.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now here's the thing about Bunny. She is inspired by Twitch streamer My First Kill.
Oh, very cool.
So, because the thing
my
is,
niece used to call me Bunny when she was little. She couldn't say Bonnie, so she would go Aunt Bunny, Aunt Bunny.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, here's the part that's funny is that she said, one of these days I'm probably going to inspire a character in one of your novels, and I'm like, if she's going to sit there and start talking that smack right now, I might as well go ahead and see if I can put her in this one just for grins and giggles. So we went through a lengthy process during the chat of trying to figure out a name for this character.
So TX, you're the epitome of go ahead, I'll put you in a story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what happened is that she kept pushing this, and I said, okay, fine. I said, how about we make this character an internal affairs lieutenant, transfer from Las Vegas, Nevada? And she says, I like that. I said, so we went through an entire naming process. I came up with 3 names that didn't fit anything, but she said that she liked the last choice of Bunny Castor as a character name. So I said, well, what if you have a first name suggestion? She goes, I don't know. And then my wife is behind me while this is all going on, and she said, what about Samantha? So I said, okay, what about the first name Samantha? And she said, I like it. So then it stuck.
Very cool.
So
do you have different processes for finding character names, or do you?
Well, no, it's just one of those things where I pick a lot of stuff out of the air like that just to kind of see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, in this situation, Bunny kind of just came into being as a result of, Melissa's My First Kill's backstory of her own.
Sometimes, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. See, she lives in Las Vegas. She used to be a person. She used to teach for a living people how to invest in hedge funds, not necessarily hedge funds, but
like a financial advisor type job.
Stuff. But she would teach this on how to invest in stuff like Bitcoin, commodities, futures, all that. Right. In other words, teach people how to make money this way.
Sure.
And she put a now ex-husband through school with this knowledge. And then when he started getting money, he kind of changed, became a jerk.
People do. Yeah.
In his case. And so he shares custody.
You see that a lot if you started in a different situation. Like, I'm old enough to have started in a very different situation and be to a very different point in my life. So I totally get what you're saying. I'm not 20 years old. So I've lived enough life to see the transitions.
Well, she has
quicker and quicker every time. The older I get, I notice things.
Well, she was married to this guy for 15 years. They have 2 kids together. Okay.
Totally.
So that is another sticking point. And because he is who he is, he's having issues not trying to be a deadbeat dad. He loves his girls. He likes to, take care of his girls. But as far as when they're with their mother, he doesn't like to do a damn thing.
He's a workaholic because he's into making the money right now.
But he also doesn't want to share it,
right?
Because he doesn't want to pay his alimony or child support. So I got to thinking,
every situation's so different,
Yeah. So one of the reasons why Melissa streams is because it
First
helps.
sign of prenup.
It's helped her rediscover who she originally was
Yeah.
and that fun character and person that she is.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said, you need to have a good backstory. And somebody said she should be a little damaged. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to make her too damaged, but at the same time, I want to make her at least where, she may have some flirty times in the book where she's going to run into guys and go, hey, handsome, what do you think about me?
Why not?
Because she's got that kind of personality, all right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, she's got to have that cop mentality. And this is the last line because this was right after there was an intense scene at the hospital. And this is Joe Hampton talking to the victim of the crime, Sasha Hassan, who's the lieutenant of the Special Investigations Unit. Mm-hmm. And she had just gotten stabbed. And her chief walks in and says, hi, kiddo. How do you feel about getting stabbed in the back? And she said, like shit.
Right. Of course.
And Joe's off with her just kind of like trying not to laugh because of the response, because she's still in a drug-induced situation. And she's like, stop laughing, Joe. It's not funny. And he's like, I know it's not, but since I never caught the guy that nailed me, at least you caught one of your attackers. Mm-hmm. But the previous scene before this happened is that Bunny Castor helped Chief Hampton, Joe's wife, Pam, confront two of the guys that might be suspect in this Black Shield affair. Mm. And the thing with that is that the guy that's the generational cop, Delbert Williams, walks up to Bunny and says, I hate rats, Lieutenant, because that's what internal affairs cops are known as, part of what they call the rat squad, Mm. And she said, well,
it's the same term on the streets too.
Exactly. Yeah. And then he says, well, I hate dirty cops, even generational ones. Mm-hmm. Well, this guy made a mistake because she basically provoked him. He comes up and grabs her by the lapels, and then everybody freezes all of a sudden because they suddenly hear the cock of a Glock 32 9mm pistol.
Yeah.
And it slowly cocks. And Bunny looks up at him and says, you got 3 seconds to let go, or I shoot and I geld you, asshole. Mm. And then Joe Hampton is the narrator of my story, and the first thing he observes is, okay, she's done a couple of things here. There is no fear, which means there's no panic, no emotion. Mm. Calm, cool, steely,
cold-hearted. Yeah,
exactly. No nonsense. And he said, remind me not to piss Bunny Castor off. This one will shoot your balls off.
Yeah.
So
there's only two sides. You're on the good one or you're on the bad one. There's no in between, I guess.
Yeah, you're not gonna find a middle ground with her on it.
Thank God we give people grace in real life.
Well, and I'll tell you what,
in between, right?
It's like I said, the basic premise of Bunny when she does a lot of stuff, she's gonna be like Melissa in a lot of ways. Yeah, she's roaming around back there. Just don't worry about her. But she
in the house listening, right?
Yeah, she's just like off doing whatever. But with Bunny, the thing is that she's gonna have those flirty moments, those times where she's gonna be smiling, even when she's working a case. Mm-hmm. But the moment that the cop instincts kick in, she loses her smile, her personality changes, and she's in street mode, ready to go and do what she needs to do.
She's hypnotized. Yeah,
exactly. She's completely focused on what she's doing. And that's the thing that the very reason why she threatened to shoot Delbert Williams in the balls and blow him off is exactly the reason why Pam Hampton hired her.
She wanted somebody tough, right?
And she wanted somebody tough that will take care of business when it needs to be taken care of. And it tells me that I may be on the right track of getting everything set up. And this is only chapter 3.
Wow.
Okay, because I wrote a prologue where Sasha Hassan is attacked by two guys.
It's
She
so exciting,
managed,
so much action going on.
yeah, she's on a 9 o'clock run through Clyde Warren Park near where she lives. She gets attacked. The first attacker gets disarmed, and then he gets zip tied with his hands behind his back to keep from doing anything else.
Right.
But as she raises up, a second attacker stabs her in the back.
Oh.
She screams out, and there happen to be two beat cops close by.
Mm-hmm.
So they run and they'll stop police, and the other guy takes off.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So they get her to the hospital, and Joe and Pam show up, and her parents are called. We're talking a lot of moving pieces in these first two chapters. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets kind of right there in your face, ready to go right off the bat. But we don't mention
that hooks a reader in when they can engage quickly, right?
Exactly.
So.
And then the other side of the coin is that we mentioned the title of the book Black Shield in the second chapter.
Okay.
Normally I do it in the first chapter, and something like this is part of a just a way of saying this is a nonchalant conversation thing, not official. But in this case, it was necessary to mention it in that intense moment so that these two characters, Delbert Williams and a crooked lawyer named Daryl Covington, that's mentioned, she lets them know right off the bat, you guys are involved. There is no God in heaven or hell that will keep me from nailing you to the wall.
Mm.
She's already said right up front, you guys are suspects. I may not be able to prove it yet, but when I do, God help you.
Right.
So it's essentially,
that's a tough job.
Well, the thing is, being a cop's a tough job, but when you're a cop having to police cops, good or bad, both,
it needs to be done though.
Yeah, it has to be done. There has to be.
We're all human. We're all human.
Right? Well, and the thing is, it's about accountability.
Yeah.
There's been so much talk in the last year and a half from politicians and others about accountability, but yet the politicians that are asking for this, they're the ones that are least accountable, and that's what aggravates me about it. So when I write this from a standpoint of,
you make me think of a movie I watched last weekend, and it was like, do what I say, don't ask any questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That happens more often than we realize. But the thing is that when I did this, it taught me that there's a reason why other organizations within a department or within, say, a state structure like Texas, when it's a small police department or a small sheriff's department, that's why the Texas Rangers exist. They serve as the internal affairs for small town police departments and sheriff's departments. In the case of Dallas, it's big enough to where they have an internal affairs bureau where they can, say, okay, this is your case. This is the situation. Let me know what the result is and what your recommendation is. Then that way, the chief of police or the chief of detectives or whoever's going to be, making the call eventually, they say, okay, take this to the DA. You have enough to prove a case.
Yeah. I don't. I stay away from the court system as much as I possibly could in my life.
Well, yeah, but the thing is that, see, when you have a situation,
you're writing like a murder mystery type.
Yeah, it's or in this case, it was an attempted murder, and there may have been some references in a Christmas book prior to this.
So you're Easter egging.
Yeah, I Easter egged in my Des Donovan Christmas book that I wrote and finished up called Cincy Holiday Hustle.
Ooh.
And what happened is that Des Donovan comes back home to Texas, goes through Dallas to get a flight home to Snyder, and meets up with her in-laws and a few others. and we find out that Lieutenant Hassan had a boyfriend killed by a racist.
Oh.
So and here's the thing. Her attack may be tied to that death. We don't know yet. We're still in the early stages of thinking, okay, this is a hate crime of some kind.
Yeah.
They're targeting foreign nationals or anybody who's foreign in bloodline, whatever. And it's going to be a long, drawn-out process where we may have PI Joe Hampton allowing Dallas PD to use his resources, but not actively work the case. But he may be sitting back in the background while other things are going on and going, okay, this is going on here, this is going on here, this is not adding up. So I asked my wife for a copy of this so that I can look it over. And then when I go through this, I suddenly see these connections, how this operates. I make my recommendations to Bunny and to my wife, and then I let them go with it. If they say, hey, can we use your copy of CCTV footage to check the crime scene, to check vehicles, to check, where these people ran, all this stuff down? Because sometimes a department like Dallas PD, their resources are going to be so limited because of what's happened in recent year due to the pandemic and all the other stuff that's happened.
Yeah.
The request of defunding of police. Sometimes an outside source like a private investigation firm that has, taken the mantle of doing some stuff to be able to do their own cases, lending a little hand to local police departments is not a bad thing, because then it helps them. It gives them a good rep. At the same time, it gives the police what they need to be able to make cases.
I don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's how I look at it.
You know much more about it than I do.
Yeah, but
I do have a question for you, TX.
Sure.
You've written so many stories. What, if it's not too much, like how much of a word count do you usually be able to get to propel through your stories?
Well, it just depends.
Average?
I mean, and the average is about 45 to 50,000 words. Okay. The reason why I say that is when I first started doing NaNoWriMo.
I was going to say NaNoWriMo is coming up. That's the perfect time to start.
A few years back, my first NaNoWriMo book was the first Joseph Hampton mystery, Foreman's Fortune.
Now I have another Nano question for you.
Okay.
How many were you able to succeed on Nano the very first time you tried?
Yeah, believe it or not, because what I did was when I started writing, I was like, okay, how do I want to do this? And then I thought, why not have a very successful high-end PI in Dallas, Texas, who's got the background of being a former Marine Corps sniper, a former NCIS agent in Italy, where he did all of his work in Europe. But then he comes home, starts a private investigation firm, finds a good-looking hottie lieutenant with the Dallas Police Department who's got issues of her own that he helps with when he's not working his own stuff.
You ever hear that song by Jillian Michaels? I got issues. You got issues.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I've been in a song mode this morning, all morning.
Well, and the thing is, I usually write to smooth jazz when I write.
Oh, nice.
So it kind of helps. But Joe goes into this situation with the Foreman's Fortune, the first Nano book I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
His father comes to him with a case of a missing ranch foreman with his uncle's ranch in Denton, Texas. And he's like, why are you bringing this to me? You could hire somebody else to look into this. He's like, your mother requested it. And he's just like, my mother, the former government maven of multiple issues and nonsense. Lucinda Stockton Hampton, and his father is a former chief constable of Scotland Yard.
Wow.
Who's also half Greek. So you see,
You've done a lot of character development.
I do a lot. In fact, what people don't know is that when we first introduced Pam to the masses, she's using her married name Dupree. Okay, and her maiden name is a Greek name from Chicago, Papadakis.
Papadakis.
Yeah,
I know. Pretty close with a family. They're Greek too, but it's like Papa Matthew. It took me so long to learn how to spell it, but shout out to Johnny.
It's not just the spelling. You have to learn to pronounce it right.
Pops.
So you got to have something,
Nobody gets it, so we just call him Pops.
Exactly. So sometimes you got to shorten it to a nickname. So you're like, "Hey, Pops, how are you?" It's like,
I got a few nicknames. No.
But that's the thing.
I'm getting older.
I understand how you feel, kid. But you see, that's the
again. I'm just kidding.
But that's the thing is that one of the things I do with a lot of the stuff I do like this is I try to do a lot of research, and if I can't visit, I research the places, research the amount of resources like a police department would have. How many.
Even though this is fiction, right? You're building it like it's a true story.
The thing is,
you're writing in a fantasy world. You're writing a mystery in the real world.
Yeah,
I'm writing a fantasy in a whole different.
Yeah, see, there's a lot of difference in how we're writing our fiction. For me, because I'm writing a murder mystery or a mystery, real places,
right?
Real locations,
right?
But fictional people,
right?
It's like right now with, say, for example, a good TV show.
You could take the situation and rewrite it and put your own characters in.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like rewriting a silent movie.
Right. Exactly.
Gotcha.
But in this case, it's kind of like
fun for practice for writing.
Well,
watch a silent movie and just write a story as I'm watching a silent movie. I've done that a few times.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing: is that, for example, the TV show Blue Bloods on CBS, where Tom Selleck stars as Commissioner Frank Reagan, and has his family as some of them are cops in the lower ranks. And
I don't watch that, but it's been on my TV where I've seen some.
Yeah, but here's the whole point.
Enjoy that stuff.
But the whole point is that the current governor of New York is fictional in this particular show. He is the commissioner of the New York City Police Department.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get to see this from that level, his level down, and everything that he deals with in his office. But then you get to see the casework that his kids have to deal with from their level of understanding. He's got a son named Danny who's a detective. His younger son, Jamie, is a police sergeant, married. Danny's a widower right now. Their sister, Erin, is the bureau chief of the trial division of the Manhattan District Attorney's Office.
Do you ever have trouble keeping the characters in order?
No, because what I do is like you do your storyboard, like you're doing behind you right there.
I do, yeah. I do an entire character journal usually too, and I was showing a little bit. Like I have some of the world stuff here, and then I do character development and story development, and I keep a journal for that portion, and then I'm writing it. And
for what I do
right now a little bit.
What I kind of pantsed the first 2.5 chapters of this before I ever got started.
Sure.
So what I did was I went back and I used Microsoft OneNote.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, and then I used I set up the cast of characters first, and then I used a second page in that under that Black Shield title, and I call it case progression. And then I start with Sasha's attack, her being in the hospital, everybody's showing up in sequence.
Sure.
including Bunny Castor and the rest of the crazy clan that could be Black Shield.
Sure.
And then what I do is I set the tone for what's going to come next.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's Joe's level of narration and participation in this?
Mm-hmm.
Because even his parents, Jeffrey and Lucinda Hampton, show up and say, how do we help? What's the plan here?
Right.
And Joe's response, because he's trying to honor someone's concerns about keeping private investigation private and not working as an agent for the police. He's like, until the Hassans, Ozzy and Fatima, invite me to help, I'm letting Pam and her department run with it, and I'm staying out of it.
Sounds like a great story that you've been working on. So you're really excited about it. So.
Well, yeah, because here's the thing. See, I'm a fan of Mickey Spillane, who is a classic gumshoe type novelist. Robert B. Parker, he's no longer with us, but he was one of those that kind of influenced that as well.
Is that who you had yesterday?
Yeah, that's who I was talking about yesterday during the sprint. Yeah, Robert B. Parker is one. Mickey Spillane is also deceased, but he is, he's the one that wrote the Mike Hammer novels.
Okay.
So if that gives you your reference.
You talk about that before, maybe.
Yeah. And then another, James Patterson is also a good.
Oh yeah.
And
everybody knows who that is. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's either Alex Cross he's dealing with, or he did write a short series called The Women's Murder Club.
Oh, I never heard of that.
Yeah. There was a short run ABC TV series about that.
Maybe I'll look that up after Prompt Coffee Writing Bunch today, because it's Friday and I'm pretty happy about that, even though probably just watch some movies tonight, just hanging out. So
yeah, well, with this I may be writing a chapter or two before I finally put it down for a little while and go back to reading or something. I'm probably going to stream,
watch some other sprints too while I work on it off camera, because
there's an idea. There's one by the name of Kavanaugh that's on
Kate
Twitch
Kavanaugh?
Kavanaugh Writes.
Kate Kavanaugh's on Twitch. Cam Wolf, I really enjoy his writing streams, and both of them have been on YouTube for quite some time too. So
yeah,
thanks for joining today too, because I just recently started these Prompt Coffee Brunch Writing Sprints just recently, so it's nice to have somebody on a Friday.
Well, and the thing is like, while you were still in the middle of your sprint, I was able to finish up chapter 2 and get chapter 3 started.
Yay!
So I am in the process, because right now this is where it's kind of hit. Plus, I haven't heard about the background check for the job yet.
Okay.
So I'm thinking I might hear this afternoon, and I may start next week.
Yay, that's exciting.
So this kind of also keeps me from having wandering hands, idle hands, whatever you want to call it, and do something constructive and get, and build a different book series up, because I have right now 3 books.
I'm really in awe of you that you've accomplished so much already.
Yeah. And even though they're not widely read, and you've done
the process over and over again, though. So
yeah,
you seem pretty, like, I would assume, you know what they say about assume, but I would assume you're pretty confident in the self-publishing process at this point.
Well, I look at it from the standpoint of right now the only vehicle I have to do that is Amazon. I mean, there's Ingram Spark as well. They're with
for hardcovers. Yep.
Yeah, for hardcovers as well. And they just started with beta hardcovers for KDP Select as well.
Wow. By the time I'm actually ready to publish a novel, everything will hopefully be available.
Well, and the thing is, you're going to have an infinite number of choices at some point in time, Bonnie. I mean,
right now I'm just focused on writing the stories and making sure my process, and making sure the process is so ingrained that when I write stories, I don't have to think about process, that it's a natural occurrence. So right now my focus is on just writing, completing the process, whether it's published yet or not. Eventually I would like to publish a novel, but right now I'm trying to, novel writing is semi new to me.
Yeah.
I used to write copy, which is very different than writing a book.
I'm
And
sure it is.
writing nonfiction was very different than writing a book, but I've always loved writing little stories and things of that nature. So I'm not quite as long as far as you, but right now I just really love writing. I've always enjoyed it, and I'm just practicing till I get to the point where I don't have to think about structure anymore. So
Well,
that's
and,
what I am, a newer writer. So all you
and
writers
that's
who are with me on the process, feel free to jump in and let's take it together.
and that's another thing too. You see, I was one of those kids where, you know, I was getting tired of school, getting tired of this and that. So I didn't want to read, much less write anything. Okay. And it wasn't until in my late 30s, early 40s, I started getting the bug to write, especially after my younger brother published a poem with the Library of Congress.
And you were like, wait a minute here.
Wait a minute. Well, if he can do something, I can too. But instead of writing just one poem or this or that, let's write a book.
Yeah.
Let's have some characters and do some
Funny
interaction.
how that happens. I didn't find out one of my aunts had a traditionally published book until after I had already been immersed in writing and working on the process. And she goes, "Oh, I published a book." And I was like, "What? You never told anybody in the family, and now I have a copy of your book," you know?
Well, and that's a reason.
Family ever knew that she published it, though, was the crazy thing.
But here's the nice part about that, Bonnie. You now have a source for the process.
She was traditionally, she had an editor, and
but that's my point. You have somebody to get.
We don't talk very much, but it would be nice if that outlet was readily available, but it is not. So
yeah. But the nice part is, you know, if you join writers organizations like guilds and you know, marketing stuff like Authors Marketing International,
I'm
I'm
part of a few different writers groups. So
okay. Well, as long as you have some group to bounce stuff off of, and
we have AuthorTube. Exactly. I know it's on Twitch, but over here on YouTube, it's AuthorTube, where you get to talk and relate to other writers and learn new things from other writers. We love AuthorTube here. Well, I may
have to get into AuthorTube. Then.
You should do an AuthorTube tag video. There's AuthorTube tag videos for people. So if you
might do that,
your YouTube channel, that might be a good tag video to do.
That might be.
Yeah,
I agree. So I guess that.
I remember my very first video just over a year ago. So that was the AuthorTube tag video.
That might be something I could do. Yeah. But one of the things I've also been doing to promote some of my later work is that I've been going to my Wix account on my Wix website, which is johnsonmedia.biz, and I've been making short 24 to 30 second promotional videos.
Oh, nice.
For my books. And the latest one I do have is for American Angel's Christmas Surprise.
I've seen that cover and everything on your channel.
Well, the thing is, there's a short YouTube video about the book.
You have to check that out too.
So I'm in the process of doing all this. I'm kind of.
It's exciting.
You know, let's see. But right now,
I cannot believe it's almost 1 already.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can understand that.
What a nice conversation today.
Yeah, it is.
Are you streaming today?
I'm going to stream a little bit later, probably around about maybe 6 your time.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere in that area.
See, yeah.
Because I'm gonna, I usually try to stream later on Fridays.
Yeah, me too.
So I can get a bigger, hopefully get somewhat of a bigger audience.
If you're already in and you can't go out and do anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Weekend, you don't have to get up early. Some people don't have to get up early. Some people do work on Saturday. I used to work every single weekend, all the time,
Yeah.
for a long time. So
Well, it's like I said, you know, if we lived close to one another,
we'd
I
hang
would have
out,
called you. I would have called you for an appointment to get this done. You know what
and
I'm
I would
saying?
have came over to see all your process. Like, how
Hey,
did you do this?
see,
Hold
there's
my hand, TX. Hold my hand. Show me. Show me what you did. Teach me your magic.
but that's the thing is
Yeah.
that you can is just, you know, one little connection or network situation,
Mhm.
and you see what happens.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
something that you always want to keep in mind,
Sure.
you know. So, but right now that's kind of where I'm at. And the nice part is, like Charlie said yesterday, save your work.
Yeah. The gremlins. Yep.
Yeah, to keep the gremlins at bay.
Mhm.
Let me see if I can pull it out, because it may go blink on me. I don't know.
And
Yeah.
while you're doing that, I want to share today's quote before I forget.
Okay.
So this week's quotes were by Virginia Woolf, and today's quote is, "For once the disease of reading has laid hold upon the system, it weakens it so that it falls an easy prey to that other scourge, which dwells in the ink pot and festers in the quill. The wretch takes to writing."
Yes.
That's today's quote by Virginia Woolf. I just wanted to make sure I got that in.
I can understand it. But this is my secret weapon now of keeping my books. Every single one I've written.
Yeah, I have a lot of them. I have a lot.
Well,
I do too, because you know what I like to do? I go to the print store and I print it out, hand mark it, the document, go through. What's interesting is I had one of my stories I printed out and had edited already disappeared.
Yeah.
And I didn't get all the changes made in the actual document that I wrote in the printed manuscript. So I couldn't remember all the changes that I had made when I edited it in the manuscript and didn't transfer. And I'm still searching for that manuscript so I can finish working on that story.
Well, you remember when I told Charlie yesterday?
I looked everywhere. It grew like I was feeling like maybe somebody took it to be like a certain way. And then I'm like, no, nobody would do that. But then I'm like, yes, I think they did. And then I'm like, no, they didn't. I'm going crazy. And then, like, you know how you get these little nuances?
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe they did to torment me. You know what I mean? But
I understand.
don't accuse anyone, because maybe they didn't. You know what I mean? So in my head, I'm like,
yeah, you kind of like, I'm kind
of like, okay, if I find this in a weird, odd place that I would never, ever hide anything or put anything to keep safe or normally look for, if I find it in a place like that,
yeah. Well, you remember when I told Charlie yesterday that the next time we were on a group sprint,
sure,
I was going to show you what my backup file was at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Book. Let me show you.
And don't mind me. I went for a morning walk this morning, so I'm not. I took some extra time.
When
versus
my very first writing attempt was a quasi-Christian vampire novel called Soldier and a Lady. This is my backup file, dear.
That seems weird, a Christian vampire book.
Well, my hunter was born and raised in Abilene, Texas, so I wrote about where I knew. Mm-hmm. He suffered a vampire bite at age 5.
Oh, well, I guess that could go together, because you would think like the crosses and priests and stuff. So
this was like the two characters of Blade meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Except the difference is that instead of having a lot of the issues of thirst and stuff like that, he descended from a race of vampire hunters called Teru.
Ooh, okay.
And he was a living, breathing human being that had this little monster inside him that if vampires showed up, he changed.
Wow.
And he would hunt them and have the same powers and abilities. But he could walk in sunlight. He can eat food. He's not. He's only. He's only vulnerability. Only vulnerabilities are stakes to the heart
Mm-hmm.
and getting burnt to a crisp.
Mm-hmm.
Those are his only. The only other tick that he has, instead of having a thirst for human blood, in certain situations, his eyes turn blood red, he sprouts fangs, and he feeds on vampires.
Mm.
Yeah. So he has like 3 different ways of killing these creatures. You know, sunlight, obviously, but the other 3 physical manifestations are stakes, bladed weapons, and he can drain them dry.
Mm.
So, but that was an 80,000 word manuscript.
Wow, that's
that
great.
that represents, and I lost it in cyberspace on a
All of it? Did you have like notes? Did you like handwrite anything? Did you?
well, no, that's what I'm saying. See, this file that I have, the file I showed you,
Mm-hmm.
it took me 2 days using
Don't
a printer.
lose your thumb drive.
It took me 2 days of printing that off, almost 200 pages
Wow. You did it on your own printer.
on my own printer.
See, when I
And
do
I
it,
went-
I don't print that much out on this at one time. I have an Epson workforce, but I usually find a coupon and I can go to like FedEx or Kinko's, and I've done like two for like less than $40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for
But
me,
my ink needs changed right now. I walked over there and it said change ink. I'm like, I'm not doing that right now. I'm not doing it right now.
but the thing is what made this story even funny when I told it originally was that I lost the 80,000 words on the computer, but I had the backup in the form of the print file.
But that's nice.
And the thing there is that my wife, because I'm a slow typer in the first place, maybe 15 or 20 words a minute, which is my average, she's a faster typist. So she started retyping it out for me.
And you had somebody read your story.
Well, and the thing is, she hates anything horror related. So that's the other thing.
That's tough because it gets locked in your brain. Yeah.
Exactly. So what she did was she would start typing. She got a few chapters in, was reading at the same time, and she looked around me, looked at me, grinned, said, "I hate you," because she got into it. But she likes my detective stories, my mysteries.
Nice.
Better. So every once in a while she'll read it and she's like, people will never believe. They'll never believe that I didn't do any of this, that you did it all. And I said, well, here's the problem. Your family thinks that I'm a bum and I have no, lick of talent whatsoever. So it's one of those where, of course, they're going to think that I'm the stooge that wouldn't do it, but I'm the very guy that did it, and that's the irony of it. She doesn't feel she has any talent like this whatsoever, and everybody assumes that because I am what I am, where I am, do what I do, I don't have the talent. But I developed the talent. Right. I took time to do it, and that's the big difference. Right.
And then there's people who have the talent, but that don't ever start.
Yeah. And the thing is, it could be anything from fear to just, circumstances to everything that just kind of, they're like.
You say circumstances, that hits me too, thinking about Nano coming up, because I have yet to be able to finish 50,000 words in 1 month with Nano. And I tried really hard last time, but then what happened was, I ended up having to do jury duty during COVID and in a federal court. And it was weeks straight. So it was like 40 hours, maybe a little over 40 hours. But the whole situation in the case and everything that was going on screwed with me so bad that I just could not pick it back up. Yeah. Until this day, like it still has affected me.
Yeah.
Till this day. I couldn't make it. I was trying so hard. I was on track, and then boom, I had federal jury duty, and that was my Nano. Nano was gone. It was right in the middle of Nano, and I was like, oh, okay.
Well, here's the thing. See, what I've started doing is if I decide I need to work on something, and then I want to have enter into Nano, will start a month or two early, work at my own pace, and get maybe about 3 or 4 chapters in, 5 chapters in, about maybe 8 to 10,000 words to get started.
I've done over 30,000 words in the nanos. I just haven't quite hit 50. And it seems like I keep like that happened and I lost a whole week, and then I was dealing with other stuff that I was dealing with because of what I was dealing with every day all day during that. So hopefully this nano will be better. I'm actually going to wrap up today.
Well, and here's the thing about the writing sprints that you do and others do through Nano is that if you will get on the writing sprints or use your writing sprint to do actual writing, not necessarily organize everything, but actual writing.
Yep.
You can, in half the time it would take for somebody to start on November 1st to go through November 30th, you could have 50,000 words written.
Yes, I agree. Right now I'm working through the 3-act structure, 27 chapter example, and I've made it to chapter 9 this week. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm actually just going over the first act and listening to it. That's what I did today because it's a recap day. I'm not writing a new chapter today.
Right.
I'm listening to it and then just making notes of things I need to add or take away, or maybe some things that are obscure that I need to fix. But
yeah.
Well,
and like I said, you know, so if I wanted to enter Nano this year, I might use this novel that I'm working on right now, because let me see. Well, here's the thing. I have the document right here. Right now at chapter 3, just to the beginning of chapter 3, I have over 2,800 words written.
That's great.
And that's including the prologue.
Okay.
So there's the issue. It's now if I keep going with this, by the end of the book and I get to the epilogue.
What do you think about 1,500, 2,000 words a chapter?
Or around the average, if you write the way they say you should write for, you know, if you figure, I'll put it this way. Let me use my calculator because it's easier for me to talk numbers that way.
And then we're going to wrap up in a few moments. Did I even have, my computer might go dead. Hold on.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
50,000 words.
I didn't realize.
Divided by 30 days. Your average is about, if you estimate it, it's about 1,700 words a minute. Oh, she's gone.
No, I'm not gone. Something's not, my battery's like on the very last bar of my laptop. So. Yeah, okay. But in doing the numbers, if you do it the way they want you to do it, your average is a little bit over 1,670 words a day, roughly about the size of a 3 or 4 page chapter. That's a good judge of how big or how much. Yeah, that's pretty decent. I'm just adjusting some stuff. So the thing there is that what you're looking at is if you have one day where you can write 2,000 words or 3,000 words, great. If you don't feel that inspired and you get half a page, you're still good. Yeah. I try to aim for two double space pages a day at a minimum. See, and the thing is, because I'm doing this on the computer, I'm not using the standard 1-inch margin double space situation. That's okay too. I'm doing it in a preparation of like a 6x9 paperback. Everybody does it different. So. Yeah, and I do it that way so that I can just keep it like, if I were ready to start an ebook right there and then, it's ready to go. Yeah. Experience. Yeah. Because, you know, you can do it. If you do it the way an editor wants you to do it, then, you know, yeah, I could do that all day without a problem. But I'm an indie author, so there's a big difference on the process of how to write that. So that again, that's where you have to look at, if you're going through the traditional route. Yeah. Even a lot of self-published authors say you must have an editor go through it. So or they get an editing program like Grammarly or something like that, and they set it up according to, you know, what the current structure is, what the current spelling of stuff is, and then they just put the document in and let it run.
and then they go through it and just look and see. But the human aspect is always good as well. That's why sometimes I'll have my wife read through something, and I'll say, "Here, let me give you an electronic duplicate. You can look it over and tell me what you think."
Sure.
And then she'll make notes for me, and then I will go and I will correct what needs to be corrected at that
That's
point.
nice that you have somebody right there willing to do that for you too.
Yeah.
So that's super nice.
And that's one of the things I was saying earlier when you and I first started conversing about this, is that, I'm one of those cheap dates. If you need me to read something, shush, don't say anything. My wife is back there laughing because I said cheap dates. So she's chortling in the background.
I gotcha, Miss TX.
She said, "I got you, Miss TX," and gave you a heart like that.
Oh, tell her thank you.
She says thank you, by the way.
Yeah.
But the thing is that, I don't mind, exchanging back and forth in that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I will tell you is that if you want me to read it for editing purposes, give me a basic synopsis of what the.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah. Well, when you get to that point, when you get to that point.
Well, one day I'll uncuff it from me, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, the point that I'm making there.
Yeah.
Is that write the synopsis, but also, give me a vision of, maybe what your
Sure, a summary, a synopsis, all those things. Yep.
Yeah. You want to write the synopsis, but at the same time,
that helps you also realize yourself, get a better view of your story. So you can write it better.
And then also leave notes about an expanded vision of what that is, because sometimes what will happen is if an editor edits based on a synopsis, they may lose about half of what your story content is. Okay, so you want to make sure that you give them a clear vision as well as a synopsis, because then they're like, "I'm editing based on synopsis." Yeah, here's the problem with that thinking. You took about 80% or 50% or 30% of a story out. That helps to fill in what the synopsis doesn't have.
Right.
And a story is not the synopsis alone if you get into it and you read it.
It's more like the theme of the story.
Right. You have a theme of the story, but at the same time, don't ignore the rest of the content, because then it becomes a problem if you say whittle 80,000 words down to 50, but 20,000 words of that still needs to be in the story.
I think.
And
yeah. I don't know if my computer's gonna die, but I really enjoy. I'm on quite a bit later today. I really enjoyed our chat today, and I hope you join again on Prompt Coffee. It's open on Fridays, and I'm gonna shut it down for the day. But I've really enjoyed having you on today. It's been fun.
Well, like I said, if I have Fridays that I have a chance to do it, I will.
Where to find you before my? I didn't have this plugged in the whole. Do you want to tell everybody? Want to give an outro?
Yeah, guys, if you want to, if you want to spend more time with Bonnie on this, come to the Sprints with Bonnie. Also, if you want to look up anything I have, go to johnsonmedia.biz. All my books are there. If you have any questions, find me on Twitch, Instagram. I'm there.
Wonderful. And thank you all for joining us today on Prompt Coffee. And I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everybody.
See you later.